today I am going to make some pumpkin spiced muffins with some cream cheese filling and a little streusel on top. It's a really decadent combination, but it's amazing when you finish. So the first thing we need to do is make the cream cheese filling so we can put that in the freezer. I have an 8-ounce block of cream cheese that I have let soften and a cup of powdered sugar. Now you can mix this in your mixer, but I'm going to do it by hand with my trusty little hand mixer, if I can make it work. So once we have the cream cheese and powdered sugar mixed together and it's smooth, we're going to slide this in the freezer so that it can set up while we're making our muffins. So with our cream cheese filling in the freezer, we're going to work on our muffins. This recipe makes between 18 and 24 muffins. I can almost always get 24 out of it. So I'm going to line my muffin pans, preheat the oven to 350 degrees, and then we're going to do our dry ingredients. All right, our muffin pans are lined. Now I'm going to take 3 cups of all-purpose flour. To that, I'm going to add a tablespoon of pumpkin pie spice, a teaspoon of nutmeg, a teaspoon of cinnamon, a teaspoon of cloves, a teaspoon of salt, and a teaspoon of baking soda. And we're just going to stir that up, and then we're going to head over to the mixer for our wet ingredients. So, wet ingredients. I've got 2 cups of pureed pumpkin. This takes slightly more than one 15-ounce can. So, I have almost a whole second can sitting in the refrigerator waiting for my next pumpkin pie adventure. Then I have 1 1/4 cups of vegetable oil. I have 2 cups of sugar and 5 eggs. I'm going to put all that together in my mixer and let the mixer do the work. We're going to start off slow, build up speed, and then we're going to let it sit for 5 minutes once we get to the highest speed, and let it just mix the ingredients together. So we have fully creamed our eggs and our vegetable oil and sugar and pumpkin all together. Now we're going to add our dry ingredients to it, and we're going to do it just until they're mixed together. I don't want to release all of the gluten in the flour, because then you get chewy muffins instead of fluffy muffins. So we're going to turn this on low and just let it combine, and then we're going to head over to the table and fill our muffin cups. So our pumpkin muffin batter has been mixed. I'm just going to give it one last stir to make sure all the ingredients are together and combined. Since we didn't turn it on high, things tend to get stuck down at the bottom. And there we are. Now I have a large scoop. I'm just going to take a scoop of the batter and put it into each of my muffin cups. And then, after we have filled them all, I'll get the cream cheese out of the freezer, and then I have a smaller scoop that we use for the filling. And now we're going to get the cream cheese out of the freezer and put our filling in. So I have a tablespoon scoop. The other is a tablespoon and a half. So I'm going to take my cream cheese and get a scoop and put it right in the middle. Just like that. We're going to do that throughout. Make sure that every muffin has a little bit of cream cheese in it, at least. We're going to go back to our batter and we're going to cover up the cream cheese. Make sure that the cream cheese is fully covered by your muffin batter, and if you have to move it around, it's going to be a full cup. You don't have to, this isn't like cupcakes where they're going to rise so much that you need to worry about them spilling over. They're not going to. But make sure that the cream cheese is covered. So we're going to finish this part, and then we're going to make the streusel to go on top. Alright, so now I'm going to wash my hands because clearly I have made a mess, and then I'm going to come back and make streusel. So for our streusel topping, I have 4 tablespoons of butter that I have made into small itty bitty cubes and left in the refrigerator, so it's cold still. And you can make your streusel with a pastry blender if you want. I use my hands because I like to feel it. It makes it easier on me to know when I've reached the consistency I want. You're looking for something more like wet sand. Okay, so we got 4 teaspoons. I have a half of a cup of sugar, 5 tablespoons of flour, and a teaspoon and a half of cinnamon. And then I'm just going to mix this up with my hands, breaking the butter up and getting it to the consistency of wet sand. So if you can see, all the butter is broken apart. We don't have any chunks of butter in there. And all of the flour and sugar and cinnamon is mixed together. And then we're going to take found a little piece of butter. So we're going to take a little bit at a time and just sprinkle it on the top of each muffin. Now we're going to put these, once the streusel is on, we're going to put these in a 350-degree oven and bake for 20 minutes, perhaps 25. I'm going to check on them at 20 and see if they spring back when you touch them, as opposed to like letting your finger go all the way through. Then they're ready. And go back over it. Like I've got a couple that don't have a whole lot of the streusel on them. Just add a little bit more. Because who doesn't like a little extra butter and sugar? Alright, these are going to go in our oven 20 minutes and then we'll be back. So our pumpkin cream cheese muffins are out of the oven. I'm going to let them cool. They did take 22 minutes so I checked them at 20, and then if you see how it springs right back up, that means they're done. We're going to let them cool. They need to cool for about an hour, otherwise the cream cheese in the middle just oozes out and it's really hot and so you get burnt. So I'm going to leave them here to cool, and then we'll cut into one and show you what it looks like inside. Our pumpkin cream cheese muffins have been cooling for about an hour and a half. Now we're going to cut in the middle and see that beautiful cream cheese center.